Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new video where today we return with round 2 of season 3 of the F123 My Team Career Mode. Yes, we're back this weekend here at the Jeddah Corniche. If you missed out on yesterday's video that went live from Bahrain, I would highly recommend going back and checking it out. But yeah, today though, of course, we're here on the high-speed streets. Of course, we mentioned in that first video, I'd had a couple of little bit of issues inside F123, and effectively already we've kind of got a B-SPEC car that's arrived here in Saudi Arabia. You can see a huge performance jump up. Of course, we went into the first race of the season with theoretically the worst car. Now we've taken a big leap forward. Of course, won't show on the progress graph just yet. But of course, yeah, we are now right smack bang in the midfield once more with quite a few major upgrades still in the works to hopefully bring us closer to the front of the field. Championship-wise, Red Bull did it again. 3 1-2s in a row in Bahrain to kickstart the campaign. Then Max Verstappen going on as he left last season, come the top of the table there. But we need to try and score our first points. This weekend should be a proper telltale sign of just how quick this car can be. Right, well, here we go then. This is meant to be our first big test of the season. Actually see the development upgrades that we have made on the car in full effect. We didn't make it out of Q1 last weekend, but hopefully here we should be seeing ourselves maybe into Q3. We'll have to wait and see as to how things work out. But yeah, diving in immediately, obviously, with Q1. Got to be careful of track limits. They're not too aggressive here. Obviously, luckily, most of the curbs as well stick into the circuit rather than out of it. So we can really just try and push this thing. Again, Jeddah shouldn't be a track where limits are too difficult round here. Can't really think of anywhere, maybe with the exception of the first couple of turns in Sector 3, where we should face any real problems. I do a Max Verstappen down through the final corner. Tiny bit of front wing damage there, but up towards the start-finish line. What's the time going to be? 26.2. We go right behind our teammate. Well, making it out of Q1 then on just the single run, but not convinced we'll have the pace still, says TQ3 there. The big six, the Aston Martin's just a bit too fast still at the moment. And then, you know, the likes of Lando, Norris, it should be a track that really suits Alpine as well. I feel like this is going to be the first time in a long old while, but we've really got a car that comes alive on the higher downforce circuits rather than the high-speed ones. But anyway, we got a tacking lap still to do. We need to try and get down into the 25s here in Q2. I reckon a 25.6, 25.7 is not out of the realms of possibility. Well, this has got to be one of the sloppiest laps I've done around Jeddah in a long old while there. Made a big mistake through the first sector. Did not even hook up the carousel either. And then another mistake as we head down in towards Sector 3. But anyway, rounding our way through the final couple of corners. What is the first lap time going to be then on the board? Probably a mid-26, I would imagine. Albon's done a 25.99. 26.0, that is better than I was expecting, to be honest. We can definitely get a mid-25. I think there are a few people on the Audi technical side of things that were hoping that we should already be a Q3 threat, and we need a 25.6 if we want to be there. Half a second as we round out the final corner then to start my last lap here in Q2. Will this be enough to see us into Q2, or will this be at the final lap? We're getting proper anger here in Jeddah. half a second up as we make our way down towards the final couple of corners. This lap has been pretty beautiful up to this point, but will it be enough to see us into Q3? We don't know what the AI have improved by. That 25.6 target was after the first runs, but half a second up as we head out of the final corner. That has been a gem of a lap time here, if I do say so myself. Is it enough for Q3 though? 25.5? Yes, it is. P9. Oh, we're into Q3 for the first time this year. Well, there we go. Max Verstappen, Sergio Perez, 24.2. Ridiculous pace coming from those Red Bull cars at the front of the field there. But Kevin Magnussen out in Q2. I'm sure Aston Martin a little bit gutted with that. We've got one run to make it count as we head into Q3. Maybe we could go best of the rest. Well, Sergio Perez then absolutely in his element. A 23.8 to go fastest here in Q3. AI finishing off their final runs now. Oscar Piastri best of the rest on a 25.2. George Russell on like a mid-24, so the big three teams have still got such a clear-cut advantage early on here. One final lap. Oh, a tiny wobble there as we corrected ourselves through the fast chicane, but nobody ever remembers the mega qualifying laps that aren't pole position. This, I feel, is going to be one of those laps. One more corner to go. So we nudge up against the wall through the final turn. No, slap the inside wall. It's all going pear-shaped right at the final corner. Put the power down, though, up towards the line. Will we be able to go quicker than Oscar Piastri? It's going to be really close. I think we're 8th, we're 9th. No, they all improved right at the end. And that felt like almost everything I'd ever be able to get out of the car. While Sergio Perez then poled by just 12 thousandths of a second over his teammate Max Verstappen. Charles Leclerc, Carlos Sainz, Lewis Hamilton, you could barely cover them with a blanket. But 1,000th of a second behind Lando Norris there. We've absolutely got the pace to be best of the rest here, but those big six, they are clear-cut leagues ahead still.
We're here today on the shores of the Red Sea in the Lower Hijaz Mountains to visit one of the newest circuits on the Formula One calendar. We're in Jeddah, home to what we all hope is going to be a thrilling Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. So let's take a look at the topographical map of the Jeddah Street Circuit. As you can see, a number of challenging corners for the drivers to master here. We'll see just how much the teams have benefited from their time spent in practice this weekend. And like many street circuits, this track has the potential to punish drivers that get it wrong. Let's hope we avoid any safety cars today. It's time to take a look at our starting grid for today's race. Sergio Perez will lead us away from pole position, and Max Verstappen lines up alongside. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Leclerc, Sainz, Hamilton, Russell, Oscar Piastri, Norris, Mr. Monaco, Gasly, Magnussen, Bottas, Albon, De Vries, Joe, Stroll, Ocon, Liam Lawson, Teo Pourchaire, Fittipaldi, Tsunoda and Logan Sargent. That's it then, it's time to go racing as we head down trackside for today's race. And a warm welcome, of course, to my co-commentator here today, someone of tremendous experience and insight. It's the man himself, Anthony Davidson. Can we start by having a chat about Sergio Perez?
Well, it was a really impressive lap in qualifying to get pole position, but are they going to be able to hold on to the lead into the first corner with so many quick starters around them? Besides that, of course, any kind of turn one incident could completely turn the race on its head. Let's keep our fingers crossed everyone can get through in one piece.
I had completely forgot that Logan Sargent was number 2 there. That really threw me off when I saw that on the AlphaTauri. But anyway, here we are though, trackside for the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. Going to be a high-speed race here today. And the game reckons mediums to hards is going to be the way to go. So that's quite interesting then. Don't really want to extend the mediums that far in. I'm just breaking the game apparently. We'll go lap 12, pretty much half and half it this afternoon. But yeah, as long as we can try and score points here today, really showcase what this Audi car is capable of. Ideally, you know, at the moment I feel like we belong. You know, I want to think of us as best of the midfield. But, you know, those big three teams, we've got a lot of work to do if we want to close up to them. Let's do this thing, though. Saudi Arabian Grand Prix time, waiting on those 5 red lights. Lights out, and away we go. As Hamilton not responding very well then, neither is Sergio Perez. Charles Leclerc trying to look to the outside as we head down in towards someone, and he'll go side by side with Max Verstappen through the first couple of corners there. Our two most recent world champions, as I think the Dutchman's done it. Straight up to the lead then of the Grand Prix as Hamilton drops all the way down to 9th place after his promising qualifying pace yesterday, but yeah, early on though, lap 1, just make sure we navigate our way through these S's, of course, heavy fuel, everything like that, avoid that curb, probably even more than I did there. We got lucky to get away with that one, but good clean getaway for ourselves. They're making up the one spot as Lewis already on the offensive, really does not want to spend his time battling with this funny looking car. Lewis Hamilton is definitely the kind of guy that wouldn't realise Audi's in Formula 1 until he actually has to battle one of their cars at some point in the future, but making our way out through the S's then on this opening lap. Yeah, Gasly still all over the back of me as well. Yeah, it's a big step into the unknown. Of course, you know, normally you'd have that data based on what you learn about the car from round 1, but this is such a different beast already. It does feel like a very, very different car as we head into round 2 of the year. Norris and Piastri side by side though, just up in front as they're already trying to duke it out for best of the rest. McLaren and Alpine certainly have looked quick early on back in Sakhir, but Piastri will hang on then as we get towards the end of lap 1. I think Perez has found his way back past Charles Leclerc as well, so it is once again a Red Bull 1-2 as Lando Norris to the outside, Hamilton to the inside, 3 wide, so we head back down into turn 1. We got the best seat in the house for this one as Norris bottoms out over the curbing. Piastri somehow will make it work down the middle, and he's got 3 Brits behind him all trying to jockey for position here. Who's going to back out of this one? I picked the wrong car to follow. Hamilton somehow on the inside there loses out, and I just get stuck behind him. Lewis again though, straight to the outside of Lando Norris as we head down in towards the carousel. Maybe this time he can try and hook it up there as Lando's going to try and squeeze him off the corner. All this does is gives Oscar Piastri a chance to run away as we make our way in towards the next couple of corners, and Hamilton really does squeeze Lando out there. We'll get fantastic pick-up off the corner. Have we got enough top-end speed, though, to try and get side-by-side there? Yellow flags out. Will that be an illegal overtake? I think we just about got away with it. As Hamilton just pitting me into a wall. Lando Norris there almost slaps the wall through the next corner as Bottas out again. Another Alfa Romeo out, and this time around we got a virtual safety car. We did get the move done on Lando before that VSC came out, but Bottas, our first retirement again. VSC has come to an end then. Time to go green flag racing once more, and Hamilton immediately got the confidence and is going to try and run away then. DRS, of course, still will be enabled then at the end of this lap, but Oscar Piastri trying to break free. Surely Lewis is going to get a run though on Oscar as we head on to lap 4. We can see the Ferraris battling it out with George Russell in the other Mercedes. They're a little bit further up, but Piastri going to try and go defensive from Lewis in towards that first corner. Surely Hamilton could just try and squeeze him out. No, look at that. Oscar Piastri says absolutely no way, my friend. And the Aston Martin will hang on there. I love how confident Oscar's become in this series. Very surprised by how quick Lando Norris is down the straights there as Oscar Piastri, of course the only one of us without DRS, really struggling down in towards the final corner. Red Bull, they've gone again. Clearly built a more dominant car than we've ever seen before by the Milton Keynes-based squad as Hamilton ran the outside of Oscar. So maybe that's what Red Bull tried to do at the end of last season. Probably what they're going to do in real life, and that's just kind of take your foot off the accelerator and focus on next year's car. Of course, didn't work for him in Season 1, though. Ferrari and Charles Leclerc came back and didn't really work for him in Season 2. Of course, Max won the drivers, but Mercedes won the constructors. So what will be the story in Season 3? Maybe they'll just build a ridiculously OP car and never worry. I mean, those Ferraris and George Russell costing each other so much time early on here. Hamilton has basically dragged Piastri, myself, Norris and Gasly back into contention, as that's probably one of the only curbs I've got to be careful of for track limits. But yeah, these guys all keep going side by side, so maybe we could end up in like a 7-car scrap for a podium. That'll be an Arab style title, wouldn't it? Oh, here comes Lando. Wasn't expecting that as we start lap 7. The McLaren clearly trying to get on with it. Not too worried about that as Gasly, there's a big gap between him and Magnussen, so at least this train doesn't extend out of the points. But yeah, I'm surprised there. Lando Norris. Whoa, that's not the line. Is that going to be a warning? No, we get away with it, but now we've got to stay in the range. Oh, here we go. Lando to the inside of Oscar. So clearly the McLaren just wants to make moves early on today. The former McLaren duo, of course, all the way back in Season 1. But, yeah, Norris hooks it up round the outside. Piastri, though, will hang on down the inside. And we are still just watching there, as I think this now also means Hamilton and the rest of that group in front have broken free, as that was scary. Oh no, now we've got both Mercs squabbling, and they've now cost each other time to the Ferraris in front of them. Could we get exactly the same top 6 as we did in Jeddah? In Bahrain, in exactly the same order as Oscar Piastri. Again, fancying his chances here. That Australian, I am really loving his driving at the moment as he tries to have a look around the outside of George Russell down at 1. He might be able to complete the move there, as Russell, I think, starting to struggle on a set of soft compound tyres. Magnussen, the freeze, struggling behind me as we almost lock up again there. Gather it up, though, as Lando Norris still in hot pursuit. I'm tempted to do something really brave here, and that was not it. Lando locked up by himself, I promise. We're going to box really early. Mark clearly loving the touring car antics, but we're going to box then at the end of lap 10 here in Saudi Arabia. Jump over onto the hard compound tyres now. For those of you that have been watching the McLaren career mode with Gary, would highly recommend it. Why is Alex pitting? Yeah, basically he did this in that series and got a big undercut on me and never really looked back. So that's kind of my game plan here in this GP. You know, maybe if the Mercs continues to squabble, then we can try and get the jump on them as well. I'm kind of eyeing up the Ferraris as the potential ones to close up to. But we've also got to remember that everyone's going to have DRS still. So this is quite a ballsy strategy that I'm really hoping pays off. Of course, the other thing I hadn't considered was the fact we're going to have to try and get around some of these slower cars. First up, Enzo Fittipaldi then. I say slower cars, these were cars that we were battling just 1 week ago, so we definitely have improved the performance of this thing as we head around the outside of the Williams. That's late on the brakes. That was almost game over. But we still should be able to get the power down around the outside there as a couple more cars starting to feed into the pit lane. One of the Mercs has dived it in, so we should have a rough idea where we are relative to them. So I'm not quite brave enough to send it on Logan Sargent there, as that is George Russell who comes out just ahead of Yuki. So that's a little bit frustrating. Still got to try and get the run as we go down the inside of Sargent in towards the S's, and clearly the young American didn't fancy his chances there, and nor can I blame him. But Russell outside of the range of Sonoda, so we have got to push on. Surely Yuki's going to be a bit of a sitting duck, but Russell's already pulled out another second on this lap. I hate trying to go for moves around this area of the circuit because you never know what the AI are going to do. So we'll try and get past Yuki as quickly as possible. That was scary. Never want to hit that curb if you can avoid it. But yeah, the gap opens up to 2.5. Starting to see more cars into the pit lane though, but a lot of them trying to stay out, extend the stint a little bit further. So that works really nicely for George and I, of course. Now it looks like they're starting to thin out a bit. Maybe both of us can use our fresh tyres to our advantage. As, yeah, one of the Ferraris then heading back out into the circuit. Maybe Russell has got back in with Charles Leclerc. I think Leclerc's going to be out just in front, but maybe if they fight, they could drag me with them. Doesn't look like that's going to happen. Red Bull's now peeling into the pit lane, as this has been quite a good lap up to now. Green Sector 1, even Green Sector 2. As many of our other big race rivals then diving into the pit lane. Are we going to be able to get past them? Let's wait and see, as Hamilton, Piastri, Lando Norris, all of them in. George Russell, 26.9, new fastest lap. We do a 28.2, which is a personal best of the day. We're going to be quite close to Sainz as he exits out of pit lane, but nowhere near close enough. Yeah, Sainz has lost out then a little bit in all this. Hamilton has come out 2.5 seconds behind me. So now all I can hope, that Mercedes will catch me. It's just a guarantee. But I've got to hope he doesn't bring Piastri with him. That's the other thing, of course, where the Red Bulls have been duking out with each other and just slipstreaming. Whoever got the undercut, of course, because it's so OP on this game, has basically now won themselves the race. I don't know if it's Verstappen or Perez. I would assume it's Verstappen. But yeah, that kind of means now that, I mean, they've basically brought a starship to this venue. Absolutely ridiculously OP, that Red Bull at the moment. 23s around Jeddah with this current regulation of F1 car is sickening. But yeah, we just got to try and hang on. Less than 10 to go. 10 to go exactly even. Oh, yellow's out. As soon as I was talking about one of the Red Bulls, I think that might be Verstappen going slowly late on in the day here. So could this be a safety car this afternoon as one of those Red Bulls grinding to a halt out of the final corner? Are they just trying to get back to the pit lane, or are they down and out of it? Maybe it was just a puncture, which would be very, very odd. Yeah, Verstappen out of the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix there, and suddenly, I mean, there's no safety car unfortunately, but we're up to 5th, as Perez should surely lead the World Championship come the end of this. Oh, Lewis. Whoa, Lewis Hamilton getting a mega run on me as we head down in towards the carousel once more, and Hamilton through. So I wasn't in 5th for very long, but I will absolutely just try and sit behind him. Don't let Oscar Piastri get inside my DRS range. So that's not the line, that'll be a warning. If ever I've seen one. Yep, there we go. But maybe Oscar didn't get the DRS still, as Hamilton absolutely flying at the moment. Let's try and get Oscar back out of that range, which we will. And let's just latch on to Lewis and try to bag best of the rest. No. Second warning. Can't get away with any more of those, as Hamilton already at the DRS range. I knew this gamble was going to be brave, but yeah, we just cannot. I mean, those Mercs are second clear of us in qualifying. Our battle is definitely going to be with Piastri towards the end, as long as Gasly and Norris don't get close. I think Oscar Piastri is about to run past me as well then, as we start lap 18. Really are just trying to make sure we get home in the quickest race time possible. So no, Piastri... Hello? Oscar Piastri, excuse you? He just went clean down around the outside of me down at turn 1. I didn't even know I'd left a big enough gap for the Aston Martin to get down around the outside, but send it or what by Oscar? And now I've got to push. So the last thing I need now is Oscar Piastri getting away and then just falling into Lando and Pierre here with a handful of laps to go. Oscar Piastri, this is what I mean though in F123 when I say there isn't really a midfield anymore. Aston Martin kind of sit in this weird little middle ground, but really then you've got the likes of Alpine, McLaren, ourselves, and then of course like the Haas, the Williams, the Alpha Tauris, and Alfa Romeo, we just never quite know where they're doing between each and every weekend. So yeah, whether you kind of say Aston Martin are the midfield, whether you say they're kind of the front runner, F1's in a weird little spot right now inside F123. It was always so clear-cut when it was just Merc, Ferrari, Red Bull, and then obviously everyone else for all those years. But yeah, it's changed, don't get me wrong. I think in real life it's fantastic, but from a commentary standpoint, it makes things a bit difficult here, especially when Aston Martin... It's not like we've had an Aston Martin inside F123 that's a true front runner either. Yes, they took 2 wins last season, but they were both through quite odd circumstances. So it's not like they're falling off of the front. They've never been there. Well, I think we've lost the DRS to Oscar Piastri now then. I did and ah whether it'd be worth pitting again before the end of this thing, but not with 5 laps to go. We'd lose far too much time and wouldn't have enough to gain it all back again. Just got to try and make sure that we don't pick up a penalty and hope that Gasly and Norris keep battling each other. This has been a really good sign though this weekend. 7th place might not sound incredible on paper, but when we consider the stiff competition and just how much in his element Oscar Piastri is as well at the moment. You know, this is good groundwork. We can definitely try and put ourselves in a position where we can fight with Aston Martin. I know we've got quite a few major upgrades still coming in for Albert Park and then Shanghai over the next few races, of course. Looking forward to heading back to China, but yeah, maybe if my driving standards don't improve, I'm going to have to learn Chinese. Is that still a funny meme? I don't really know. But anyway, yeah, 5 laps to go, 4.5 to Lando. Just squabble behind me, please. Well, I am still waiting for the performance patch inside F123, where Sergio Perez can't make Q3 anymore. But, I mean, look on the mini-map that gap that Mexican has got right below me. Yeah, ridiculous the pace of those Red Bulls started. I think Verstappen would have been even further in front of him. To be honest, I can't say I'm surprised that we weren't able to keep up with Piastri. He's basically matched Lewis Hamilton towards the end of this race, and Lewis has been trying to close in on the 3 in front of him, still squabbling, but Sergio Perez at the front of the field. Not often has the sun shone down on Sergio Perez inside this career mode. Yeah, he's taken a couple of wins here and there, but nothing all too exciting. And of course, yeah, he's been quite unlucky as well on occasions. Just kind of, you know, keeps to himself, and often has been the reason why Red Bull haven't won a Constructors' Championship. I think you could argue that for both seasons so far of this series. But just like he did in real life, though, here in Jeddah, he's proven to have the pace this weekend, helped by the fact his teammate blew up. I don't think he was going to win this one had Max had a more reliable engine, but doesn't do us any favours as well, of course, on the Red Bull powertrains front. Sergio Perez at the final corner. The Mexican is going to keep Red Bull's winning streak alive at the start of their new campaign there. But for us and for Audi, it's quite a big, important day. You know, like we said, Bahrain was always going to be a bit of a bogey track. But here in Jeddah, we kind of get a much better idea of what the actual pace of the car is looking like. And seems like, yeah, we're slotting into a pretty decent P5 at the moment. Slightly quicker than McLaren and Alpine. We've got a lot more big upgrades to go, though. So next up is definitely trying to target the Aston Martins. But round in the final corner, there were no points last weekend in Bahrain, but 6 points here even is going to mean it's our best opening 2 races of F123 so far. At the final corner is 7th place.
All right, race over. Take care of the car on the way in.
It was a magnificent race and a drive right out of the top draw to take the win for Red Bull today. Anthony Davidson, what helped them deliver this result, do you think?
Well, time management probably played quite a large role in the outcome of this one. As ever, it's not just about speed, it's all about maintaining that speed consistently over a stint, over a race distance. So being able to keep up the lap times while still being smooth on the controls and gentle on the tyres, that's really where the race was won today.
Red Bull put up an outstanding fight for the front position today, and it's great to see it paid off for them. They do so much for the sport that you can't help but be delighted by today's race win. And now let's take a look at the drivers' standings. And in the Drivers' Championship, the points that Sergio Perez earned today see him take over the lead. Some amazing talent out on the track today. But Anthony, who would you pick as your driver of the day?
Max Verstappen seemed to just effortlessly weave through the other drivers today without a care in the world. He was definitely my driver of choice.
It's time to see how things are shaping up in the Constructors' Championship. It was a tough race for our championship leaders who lose ground at the top of the table. Meanwhile, good work from the owner drivers team this weekend who pushed themselves further up the order. Well, what an end to another fantastic weekend of racing. Thanks to everyone who joined us, and we'll see you for the next one.
Well, there we are then. Sergio Perez, race winner here in Saudi Arabia, takes the lead of the Drivers' World Championship in the process, but Carlos Sainz again getting the better of Charles Leclerc here. Maybe we're starting to see a bit more like early in Season 2. Leclerc holds on for the podium ahead of George Russell, Hamilton, Piastri, myself, Norris, and then both Alpines rounding out our top 10 there. I'm sure Kevin Magnussen probably very disappointed with that. Albon P13, much better than he got on in the opening race in Bahrain, but I want to see him trying to score points more regularly as well in the near future. Means championship-wise, yep, Perez 10 points clear at the top ahead of Sainz and Leclerc there. Verstappen still in P3 ahead of Russell and Hamilton there. And with that result, we leapfrog all the way up into 8th place immediately then. Oscar Piastri seemingly our best of the rest for now there. Only 12 drivers, though, have scored points after the opening 2 Grand Prix. Constructors-wise, though, we're up to P5, exactly where we finished last season, ahead of McLaren and Alpine. I reckon Aston Martin are definitely a team we can beat this year if we get some more upgrades on and Albon starts to pull his finger out. But thank you all so much for watching this video. If you have enjoyed, please do make sure to leave a like, get yourself subscribed as well, and we'll be back next time out then when Formula 1 returns to the Albert Park circuit, another high-speed venue, but then we head to Shanghai.